welcome to Monday's Mental Mistakes. This week we're looking at irrational escalation. Irrational escalation is the tendency to persist with a course of action that is no longer rational because of a sense of commitment to it. That is, having already embarked on a course of action, we tend to continue with it even when it would be rational to stop. Irrational escalation makes us more likely to throw good money after bad. At the same time, we're unlikely to cut our losses. Here's a simple example. Suppose we're in a group of 3 people, and I offer you two the chance to buy $1 from me in a form of an auction. The only rule is that not only does the winning bidder pay their highest bid for the dollar, but the second highest bidder also pays their highest bid but receives nothing. This game is obviously a win for me, but you could still buy the dollar from me for 1 cent. Would you bid? Suppose you do, and the other person counterbids, and so on. The bid rises from 1 cent to 2 cents, all the way up. You quickly realise what's going to happen. You bid 50 cents and the other person bids 51 cents. What should you do now? If you do nothing, you'll pay out 50 cents and get nothing in return. But bidding anything else is probably going to end up costing you more. Should you bid? If you felt an urge to keep bidding, then congratulations, you suffer from irrational escalation, like the rest of us. In this game, the only winner is the auctioneer. Once you've bid, you're essentially locked into losing money, as there's always incentive for the other person to keep bidding. Almost inevitably, both bidders will end up losing money, with one losing $1 less than the other. The rational response is to cut your losses as soon as you realise it, but people rarely do. Our tendency, instead, is to keep bidding, hoping to win the auction. This is irrational escalation. The principal way to counter irrational escalation is to ignore the sunk costs involved in a situation. The main motivator for irrational escalation is a sense of commitment to the decision, and this is often based on the time, money, or effort already spent. But this time, money, or effort have already been spent, and so are actually irrelevant to the decision to continue or not. Getting into the habit of dismissing sunk costs when making decisions is an important way of reducing susceptibility to irrational escalation. Another factor underlying irrational escalation is an emotional connection to a particular decision. Those decisions that we have personally championed, or to which we feel aligned, are those that are most likely to trigger irrational escalation. Managers who continue with business decisions after it's become clear that they are no longer reasonable, or homeowners who press ahead with a renovation even though it no longer makes sense, are good examples of this. Even refusing to get directions, even though you are lost, can be seen as irrational escalation of the decision to go in a particular direction. Irrational escalation is most obvious in monetary decisions. Poker players will refuse to fold based only on the amount of money that they have already staked. Considered rationally, each decision to call or fold should be based on the relative merits of one's hand versus the likely payoff. But too often, novice players will commit to seeing the hand out and then will irrationally escalate their commitments. Another area it can be obvious is in auctions like eBay. People often feel committed to winning an item and will bid beyond what they would otherwise consider a reasonable price. This is irrational escalation. In conclusion, irrational escalation is the tendency to continue with a course of action when it is no longer rational, because one feels committed to it. Until next week, may your mental mistakes be minor.